Hello. Hope everyone is having a great day. I just am going to wait a few minutes to make sure that people can come on as I'm going live inside of the event. So I just want to make sure that people can see this, as I think there was an issue one time. If you're here, let me know. I'm going to wait for some people to join. Okay, there's one viewer. Pretty sure. If you're here, let me know. Love to say hi. I'm going to wait a few more minutes. Let me know if you can hear me. It's Jessica. Hi, Jessica. It's so nice to see you. All right, so I hope you all had a good day. Even if you did not, this is a space for you to really just be in the now and really just allow yourself to have the permission to learn something. And I always say this is one of the best self-care. So I think we're going to get started because I know there's some people who are going to be catching the replay as well. All right. Hello, Dora Lisa. Hello, Erin. I hope you are all having a great time. I'm so glad you're all here. So what I'm going to be doing is, hi Christina, my comments, I have to actually scroll down to see them. So what I would love you guys to do is, if you have any questions, definitely ask. And if I haven't gotten to them, I'll open up some questions at the end. If you want to throw in comments, I love comments throughout this because it really just helps the conversation. This is a conversation where you may be only seeing me, but this is for you as well. And if you guys have ever done a workshop, and maybe this is your first time doing something like this, it just really helps with the dialogue as well. So your comments are welcomed, and I'm so glad you guys are all here. So I would love to know, like, what intrigued you to be here tonight? Because I had done my master's in life coaching and counseling. I had done everything right, and I had no idea about inner child healing. No idea. And I know it's become kind of a hype phrase in the healing journey world, but it is truly transformational. It's truly life-changing. I think it changes everything because we all have an inner child. Actually, we have more than one inner child within us, which I'm going to get to. But, you know, I had no idea that this work existed. And it was actually when I had done everything right, I thought, right, everything right, I still felt miserable, stressed, anxious. I didn't really like my life, even though I had done everything they had told me to do. I just wasn't happy. I didn't have that inner peace, and I didn't even know I was craving that inner peace at the time. And what happened was I was in school to become a pastor, and my whole reality shifted. I started to really come to terms with shame and trauma I had not told anyone about. And I really grew up to fear my own body, to fear who I was. And when I finally got help, when I finally told someone, hey, this is what I struggled with, it really opened the gates to allow suppressed emotions, to allow numbed emotions, and just my own desires and wonders that we have as children to come back to life. And that's the short version, but I'm going to get into it. Here we go. Okay, so did you feel small or hidden as a child? Or maybe you felt small or hidden as a teenager, even early adulthood. Like I said, I grew up to fear who I was. I grew up to fear my body. And in the result, I judged who I am. Meaning, I had more self-judgment and the negative self-critic and self-inner voice than self-love for myself. And some of those words sounded like, well, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. And so why is healing the inner child so important? What does it mean to heal the inner child? And why is that so important? Well, I said some of it. Yeah, Christina Invisible. Yeah. Actually, that's a really good point, because our basic human needs are to be seen, to be loved, and to be heard. All right? Seen, heard, and loved. And when we don't have that, guess what? We've learned to give our needs away in order to be loved. So, do you see that? We gave our needs away in order to be loved. Well, is that a healthy version of love? I don't think it was for me. I had love entangled in many different things that were not the authentic love that I get to live in today, that tapping into my inner child has brought me to, and it's possible for you as well. And so some of you might be already on the journey of healing your inner child. Maybe this is a completely new concept. Wherever you are in this journey, just allow yourself to open up that you first of all have this inner child, and allow yourself to give him or her permission to be seen today. And why is it so important? Let's get back to that question. So there's a longing inside of you to be free. It's that longing that says, oh, what is my purpose for life? What is the meaning to life? Is there more than just this? That was the question I kept asking myself. Is there more to life than just this? Because if it is just this, I don't like this life. And many people that I talk to and many people that I work with, they're asking the same things. That's what draws them to want to seek help, to seek that coaching. And the thing is that when children are emotionally and mentally injured, neglected, or even abused in their childhood, those wounds are carried into adulthood. Now, what I want to be really clear here is that you are not broken, and there is nothing wrong with you. And I'm going to get into this because I want to make sure you understand it, but when we can accept that, when we can change the narrative to, okay, I'll be better, or I'll know, or I'll be enough once I'm healed, that's putting an unexpected expectation. That's probably a pattern you brought in from a past experience, which does not have to belong to you. There's no arrival in this life. We've been programmed and trained to think, okay, when I get there, things will be better. When I get there, then I can enjoy my life. But this healing journey is not about getting there. It's about being in the now, embracing this as a journey, knowing that you don't have to arrive, that it is this constant ebb and flow of healing and learning and unlearning, and it's really, that's the beauty of it. And when you can accept that, it's beautiful. Hi Heather, I'm so glad you're here. Yeah, I try to make myself small and quiet, and the thing is, I can even feel myself still doing that to this day. Even though I study it, I teach it, it's not something that's just going to completely go away, but it's something that you want to become aware of and know that you don't have to stay quiet. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to express yourself. And the first thing, the good thing is to learning how to do it within yourself first. You're safe to be you, and you're safe to be who you are within yourself first. Dora Lisa, What does the need to be heard look like? So that's a great question. So I want to simplify it for you. So I can even use the example of, let's use the example of a boy, and say he's 4, 5, 6 years old, and he is crying. His feelings are hurt and he's crying. And mom or dad or another caregiver, someone he's looking up to, says, "Don't cry, you're a boy and boys don't cry." What that person has just done is, okay, now you've told someone, a little boy, that he is not allowed to be sensitive. And you shut down that sensitivity part. He's no longer heard. His emotions were not heard. And so what that person has also done is shut down his spiritual side, the side of him that needs to actually be sensitive. But being sensitive is bad. Being sensitive to that little boy, he's growing to believe that that if he is crying or if he gets upset over something, that's a need that cannot be met. And so to answer your question of, whoops, where was it? Hi. What does the need to be heard look like? So if you flip that scenario, that boy, what could have happened is, okay, I want to be able to explain this right so you guys understand. So instead of just shutting that emotion down or that expression down, it's having that conversation and saying, okay, let's say Tommy, like, what is upsetting you? Then he shares. And then that opens that conversation for healing in that moment. And when that boy or that boy or girl is heard, it changes everything. But if your parent or if another caregiver, because this is not just about parents, because a lot of people say, well, I had great parents. Even people with good intentions, even teachers, a leader at your church, a leader at camp, like, our minds, our brains are so impressionable at a young age where, if someone just yells at us to stop when we're needing to be heard the most, we are looking up to that person going, they know everything, and then we take that in as our truth, and that becomes our belief system. So I hope that answers your question. I'm going to get into it where I think it'll answer a little bit more. But I think we can all look back on our lives and think of a time when someone shut us down. I can think of a teacher right now where nothing I did was right. I can think of a boss, I can even think of a boss where nothing I did was right. And what happened was when I was working, and this boss kept shutting me down because everything I did for her was wrong. Even getting simple milk in the fridge was wrong. What it did was it triggered when I was a child, and everything I did was wrong. And so that is how we bring our awareness in. So I want to get back to just, I want to simplify this for you guys. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Yes, Erin, you're right. Yeah. I even had someone recently connect with me and say, well, men don't have emotions. And we had this beautiful long conversation where I said, no, you telling me that is actually an emotion. What are you feeling right now? And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but men are taught to be tough. And women, we're taught not to trust ourselves, not to trust our bodies, right? We see it everywhere. We see it in billboards. We see it in magazines. We see it in TV shows where our body, that's why I feared myself, was because I was like, I'm never going to feel good enough in my body. My body's never going to be good enough to this level of expectation that everyone's trying to strive for, but that doesn't actually exist. And so some of the things that were taught or said to me were just, oh, Sarah, like, you will never have to worry about your weight, or all these things. And guess what? I developed an eating disorder just because of these little comments, and I thought my body was never going to be worth it. And so it's this journey of really allowing that child, your inner child, to be seen, to be heard, to be unconditionally loved, right? What conditions are you putting on yourself that were actually from someone else that don't belong to you? A lot of children are taught to shame and blame themselves, and it does not belong to you. And so if any of you are stressed, if any of you are carrying anxiety, it's because many of us lived in a fight or flight or freeze mode, or AKA survival mode growing up, and we're still as adults trying to get through the day, trying to go through the emotions, trying to, we have maybe even some tools that counselors have given us, but we still feel that way, and that's because the nervous system, it's something deeper, which is what I love doing with my clients. But in adulthood and in this space tonight, we have a chance to start to heal those inner wounds and heal and set free that part of us that so longs to be free. That so longs to be free. And create the safe, secure inner and outer environments our younger selves really wanted. And so what I also want to say is just, if you're a parent in this room or in this space, this is not a space to blame parents. This is not a place to shame parents. I know some of you guys are parents. That's not what we're doing here either. Now, it's becoming aware of patterns that have been brought down to us, but it's not a space to blame. Because what is also really, really amazing to know is that a lot of the things, or a lot of the reasons why we had to give away our needs, was because that's what our parents or our caregivers or a teacher were doing. That was their environment. But guess what? It was their protection. They weren't doing it. What I should say is that I believe every parent is doing the best that they can. And they are loving the only way they know how. So if shame was a part of their life, if abuse was a part of their life, and they haven't done their own healing or their own work or even self-acceptance within themselves, that's only going to be internalized within us. And I can say I had a great mom. But she was a victim. And, she said things about her body in front of the mirror that impacted me. And as kids, we're not really aware that it's happening. And even with good intentions, right, we can learn that, okay, I have to lower myself in order to be accepted. I have to please in order to be accepted. I have to give away who I am in order to be accepted. And so unlearning that takes time. So anything I'm talking about, I don't want you to feel like, okay, I've got to just apply it to my life and I'll be changed next week. I'll be changed tomorrow. There is one thing to know it, another thing to actually embody it. And so one of the best things you can do is, again, be and embrace this journey. So some signs that your inner child needs to be free and longs to be free. You second guess yourself. You believe your self-worth and confidence only comes from achievements or looks. You fear conflict. You're incredibly self-critical of yourself. You often feel like what you have to say is not important, so you stay quiet. You compare yourself to others. You have a hard time expressing yourself, even to yourself, and your emotions to yourself. And you give more weight to other people's opinions than your own. So on the flip side of that, there's a longing there, right? You're longing maybe for peace, you're longing for happiness, you're longing for confidence, or even just knowing how to trust and love yourself. But again, when you've been having all these patterns, for me, it was a very unhealthy view of even what love was. And it was almost a manipulated version of love, if that makes sense, where I thought I had to lower who I was in order to be accepted. And so before I had actually dived into this, guys, I had done my master's in counseling and life coaching. And then I hit complete burnout in my life. And I realized, oh my goodness, I haven't applied it to my life yet. And when you finally give yourself permission to ask, what do I want? When you believed that that was selfish and that was wrong your entire life, it's pretty scary. It's scary to put yourself first. It's scary to think that you can, a belief system, right? A belief system that you thought was 110% truth. It just starts crumbling down, or it starts to unravel and look something different. That can be really scary. And so if you're at that season of life, and maybe you're thinking, what the heck am I going to do next? Or that lack of clarity, I want you to know that that's okay and that's normal, and that's part of this process. But it's allowing yourself that permission to not have to hold all the answers, to not have to be right, and to really just that radical acceptance of, I am safe to be me, and I am able to be loved. And I want you to know that you are worthy of love, authentic love. Maybe not the version of love that was taught to you or given to you. And that's why when you step into this journey, you also start to step into your true purpose and true power, where you get to redefine love. So if you think about a house, right? And you have to build a house, right? You don't build the roof before you build the foundation. And so part of this work is really rebuilding that foundation. So that's your values, that's your belief system. And again, like I said, it's a lot of unlearning and relearning, where it can feel like this. But when you have that strong foundation, it's like this, so that you're grounded and you can go through the motions and allowing every single part of yourself to be free. Because this is what's clear, is that it's not like there's just one inner child version of you. There is, how do I say this? There is, for every year you were a child, that is how many versions of inner child are within you. So say at 4, your parents divorced. My parents divorced when I was 4 years old. So there's that version where I was abandoned. And guess what I learned? Self-abandonment. Then there was the year when I got diagnosed with a learning disability. And I was told I would never make it through university. Was told that I was stupid repeatedly by kids in my class and a teacher. So there's that version of me, right? There's the version of me that did amazing things. There's the version of me that took the risk, right? And if you look back on your life, there's all these different parts of you. There's not one aspect of you. You may have one name, but there are so many aspects that make you you. But if you've been suppressing your emotions, if you've been giving away your needs, there are parts of you that you haven't even discovered yet, because you're still living in that survival mode of, I gotta just get through this, and you're allowing the past to dictate who you are today. And so that's why reconnecting to yourself is so part of this, journey. And so what does that look like as you go forward in day-to-day life, right? Because it can be very overwhelming, this work as well. I'm just reading your comments. Yes, it's like peeling an onion. I love that phrase, Christina. So many layers. So, you know how I just said that there's so many versions of yourself? What a lot of people will say is that, okay, I've got to go find myself. And I want you to be very cautious of the words you say. Because words are vibration, words are energy. What you say, you usually live out. And so Instead of saying that I need to go find myself, I'm going to reclaim who I've always been. It's not like she or he was missing or that they were never there. You're there. And a lot of times we're like, people will ask, and I ask the question too, who am I? Who the heck am I? Right? We hear about people having midlife crises all the time. I say mine was a spiritual awakening, but people will say I had a midlife crisis. Well, is it just that you're allowing yourself to see something different? Right? So you could be going through this in your 20s, you could be going through this in your 50s, 60s. It doesn't really matter. But who you are has always been inside of you. You're allowing yourself to tap into that. You're allowing yourself to tap into desire, into wonder, into imagination, right? As a kid, we got out of bed so motivated for the day, right? And I mean, there was probably some exceptions, right? Like when my parents were going through the divorce, it was not a happy time all the time. But I remember being, out at the beach. I remember acting out plays and skits, and life was much simpler, right? We didn't have bills to pay. We didn't have to worry about going and getting food. All the things that can creep into our minds as adults as responsibilities. And yes, that is true, but wonder is your birthright. It does not need to go away just because you're an adult. And if you can tap into that, there are some of you that have desires that you don't even know about. And me, who grew up in a very strict religion, I was told that desires are bad. You need to give that away and be who God wants you to be. But right there is the manipulation of love, because now what I believe is that if God, if Source, whatever word you want to call it, or call the person that you look up to, I call Creator, Source, so whatever word you want to use. But I now know that when I trust in God, I trust in myself. When I trust in myself, I trust in God. So guess what? I don't have to lower myself. And those desires that you have are given to you and you alone. Right? And so a lot of this unlearning is realizing, oh my goodness, I have been pleasing. I have been chasing after love instead of operating love in love. I didn't even know what my favorite color was, because everything I was doing and decisions I was making was based on what other people wanted for me so that I would be accepted. And so again, there's all these layers to you where when you allow yourself to tap into one desire, it opens the doorway. It opens the doorway, and what I call it is the land of possibilities. The land of possibilities. A lot of us, we fear our future, or we fear our past, or maybe we resent our past. And yet either the future and the past do not exist right now. All we have is right now. And so I invite you into that wonder space again, and into that play and fun. If you have not taken time lately to have fun, it doesn't matter if the world is collapsing around you. You need to allow yourself to tap into fun. Even if it's 5 minutes a day dancing to some music, it will do great wonders to you. Yeah, this is part of our own healing, knowing that. Yeah. So the thing is, survival mode, it's allowing yourself to even accept that part of you, Doralisa, because that's all you knew. And so it's loving that part of you because it kept you here. It kept you surviving. So I want you to know that there's nothing bad in you. But there's always room to grow, and there is healing, but that healing doesn't mean that you're broken or that there's something wrong with you right now. And so what I can actually do is talk about radical acceptance, because so many people, they'll get the tools, they'll get the resources, they'll listen to the podcasts, they'll read self-help books, and they'll know it, but it's like, why can't I know that I need to regulate my emotions? Why can't I know that, okay, I need to do breath work or whatever it is? And they do it. And I've had clients do this where they do it, And then they're like, my nervous system still feels like I'm stressed, I'm anxious, I'm paralyzed by fear. And what I've noticed is that the key ingredient to that is they couldn't accept who they were before they tried to heal. And so I call it radical acceptance, radical self-acceptance. And so, you know, if we've been living in survival mode, if we have been giving our needs away, maybe we weren't even aware we were doing it because it was our normal, right? That was our normal version of love that we were taught, okay, if I do this, I'm going to get love in return. But maybe it wasn't a healthy version of love, and then that translated to an unhealthy version of self-esteem, self-worth, and confidence. And so radical acceptance is accepting your current situation and not needing anything more yet. Knowing that you are made for more because we're all created to grow and to thrive and to evolve, but accepting exactly who you are. You have not been today's version of you yet. Tomorrow, you will bring what you learned from today, your experiences from today into tomorrow, and you will be another version. And that's what's beautiful. It's beautiful about this journey. And so what I want you to know is that your emotions are so valid, where hearing that might be, well, I can't do that, or I have no idea how to do that, right? Our nervous system wants us to know how, because then we can get it done and we can hustle. And this is more about being. And so radical acceptance, it's a muscle, because it's not a thought, it's not a feeling. You can be having the worst day. You can be sad. You're allowed to be sad. I do never want you to have to push away sadness or any kind of emotion. But what radical acceptance is a decision, not a thought. You get to decide to accept where you are, who you are right now. You get to decide that every single day. And what I hope is that that puts the motivation back in your soul. And again, be really clear about the words you say to yourself, right? Someone said, you're not good enough, or you're going to fail, or you're stupid, whatever it was. You now get to decide if that's what you're going to say to yourself. And then that gets into a whole lot of stuff that I teach about with protecting your energy and protecting who you are, where someone else says that to you, does not even enter you anymore, because you go, I am enough. I know I am enough. And it is a journey, because when I started doing this work on myself, so I had done my master's, I had done everything right, like I said. I completely went off social media. I was also an author at this time, and I completely went off social media, and I relearned things for myself. I had to quit my job. I had to move to another city, which a lot of people that I talk to seems to be a common denominator. When you awaken this part of yourself, it's like, oh my goodness, I can give myself permission to go, what do I want out of this life? And then go discover it. It's a beautiful place to be. And so what happened to me is that I allowed myself to tap into things that had happened to me as a child, memories I had, and it was like I walked through them for the first time and actually felt them, because I was completely numb to my emotions. About once a year, I would have this big pity party in my bathroom, and I remember even doing it in high school, where I had all this built up anger, resentment, sadness. And so it was like a 1-year event where I would just lose it and I would be crying all day. And then guess what? I'd pick myself back up and get through another 6 months to a year before I'd let it out again. That's survival mode. That's like, I wouldn't even know I was crying at that point, but it was a year worth of tears. And now I cry at a movie, and it's actually really refreshing. I can cry when, like, happy tears too, when something amazing happens, because most, like, how do I say this? It's so beautiful to feel. It's so beautiful to allow yourself to express yourself in that way. but it's knowing and believing you're safe to be you, right? I believed that crying was bad, crying was weakness, that shaking when I actually stand up for myself for the first time was a weakness. It is strength. It is strength when you can allow yourself to actually express who you are. Okay. So, what does the inner critic of not feeling good enough actually sound like? It can sound like, I won't go anywhere, so don't even try. I'm behind compared to everyone else in my life. I keep doing it wrong. I shouldn't have done that. Or, I just have to pretend that everything is okay. And so, what are your programming of not being good enough? That belief came from somewhere. And so, most of us, this is some psychology for you, is that we developed our belief system from age 0 to 7. Now, some people would say even in the womb, which I do believe that even when you're in the womb, the things that your mom is going through, that does impact you, which I definitely believe. But for simplicity tonight, we'll just say, our belief system is usually nurtured by age 7. So just think about that for a second. And when I'm asking you guys questions, it's not like you need to know the answer right now. It's just putting that thinking cap on and allowing yourself again to open your inner child up. Because that's what we're doing right now. We're tapping into your inner child. So there's part of you that can be free tonight. And so for me, it was that learning disability. It was in grade 3, right? You're young, you're impressionable. I was so excited to be in school. And then it was just the hardest thing for me. Now, what I have learned, and this is why redefining the standards and redefining that belief system, and it's not like the whole belief system needs to be tossed out the window, because again, there's been a lot of good intentions in your life. It hasn't all been bad, or it hasn't all been heartache, right? You might be able to take this from your parent and go, okay, that's good. That's what I want to keep. I believe that. But then this other thing, no, that was full of shame. That was full of negativity. I don't want that in my belief system. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about there. But what I've learned as an adult, where I can redefine these things, is I don't believe I had a learning disability. I learn differently. You see that? Because there's not one way to do life. And what really was the pivotal moment of that is when I worked in a school and I saw how hard it was to teach 26 to 30 kids one way to learn. And so if any of you guys have been told that you're not enough just simply because you don't learn the way that you were taught to learn, you're allowed to say no to that. No to that narrative. No to that kind of belief system that held you back. Okay? So, tears are healing. Yep. And so, when a parent struggles with body shame, their child mirrors self-judgment growing up. When a parent struggles to express their emotions, their child mirrors unregulated emotions, and that's their normal. When a parent chases after accomplishments as their only source to self-worth, their child mirrors that. And so everything I've just been talking about is also known as reparenting, where you get to reparent yourself as an adult. So you could be out with friends who you've known for 10 plus years, and you want to speak up at the table, but you go, no, I'm not, that's not important, I'm going to stay quiet. Or you do speak up and someone laughs at you. What's going to happen is you're going to be triggered, something's going to trigger in you of going, okay, shut up, I'm not enough. All of those things are going to come back up that started, back here. So in that moment, or when you go home and you've processed it, that's when you get to reparent, and you get to soothe yourself, and you get to go, I am important, I am enough, I accept that, right? Instead of going, oh, I should have spoken up, I should have known better, I should have, all of this, it's either that voice or that voice you're going to listen to? Is it going to be the self-judgment, or is it going to be the radical self-acceptance, right? Because even if you didn't speak up in that moment, it's even just cheering your inner child on and cheering yourself on, going, it's okay. Next time I'm going to speak up. And even if I'm nervous, even if I choke, even if I go all red or sweat, whatever, it's all okay. It's all okay, because these are baby steps. So, what are some of your needs? What are some of your needs? Some people don't even know when they come and work with me what their needs are, and I don't expect them to. So, in this space, it's not like you need to know, but I want you to start to ask yourself, what are your needs? It can be as simple as, I need to have a bath once a week for self-care. Or I need to get back into running so my body just feels better. It's allowing your needs to come forth again, and for you to meet your own needs. And so I could also say this takes a lot of radical responsibility and radical just ownership of your life. And knowing that your needs are valid, and learning to even just express them to yourself again, so that that part of you knows how important you are. And so it's relearning that you are accepted as you are, not when you've done something right. So, what does it look like if you were to tap into wonder and imagination and creativity? What does that look like? To me, it changed everything, and I've seen it change everything in the people that I work with as well. Have you ever asked yourself what you want? So, I said that I want you to know that you're worthy of love. But that can be really hard to believe or actually live out when you have an unhealthy version of love, or even just not a clear sense of self-worth. Maybe you've been window dressing your confidence, where you're really good at going out, but then when you come back and you take off your makeup, or you just, in general, because if there's men watching this, you just look at yourself in the mirror and you just don't even know who you are, or you don't like who you are. That's called window dressing your confidence, and you're usually someone different based on who you are with. I did that for years, and I can catch myself about to do it, and I go, no, Sarah, you deserve to be who you are. You don't have to window dress. You don't have to pretend anymore. I will literally tell myself that, and sometimes that means I don't answer a question right away. Take a minute. But it changes everything. And so your life purpose is not to fulfill someone else's role for you, and it's not to be a good boy or a good girl. So I want to read this to you. Good girl is the voice that says, be nice, be polite, be pretty, be perfect, be silent. Good girls and good boys have been taught to gaslight their own experiences, their own inner knowing, and their own authority. We have been programmed to dissociate from our truth, so we can't possibly trust our own instincts. Right? And men have to be tough. We then feel unsafe and unstable without the approval of others and validation from only the external world. This kind of system that created the good girls owns your life, your words, actions, beliefs, and connections to source. What happens when you start thinking for yourself and stepping into your own true power and purpose? Because that's what you're also opening yourself up to do, is to think for yourself. Can you imagine a world that was just living for today? That if you tapped into your wonder, into your play, to your creativity, guess what? It's going to look different than anyone else's. And yet, we are all connected. We're all connected. So, we carry shame and we carry blame from our childhood that does not belong to us. And what is your shame script? That's something that I want to ask you guys as well. Is it that you believe you're not good enough? That you're not worthy for something? I didn't believe I was worthy for love. I believed the lie that I was unlovable. And I really self-sabotaged a lot of relationships, a lot of friendships. It was like I was always guarded. And, you know, I don't ever want you to have to look back in your life with what's the word? Like regret. There we go. I don't want you to look back with any regret, because what some people have asked me, they're like, Sarah, can you just take away this painful memory? Can you take away this ugly childhood that I had? And I go, well, if I take that away, I'm going to have to take away all the things you've learned. You're here in this divine moment, in this divine age for a reason. And so we're not looking back to blame ourselves or to blame another person. Now, it is valid if you go through a stage where you're really mad at people, because now you're in that awareness of, oh my goodness, it wasn't okay that so-and-so treated me this way when I was a child. You're allowed to be angry, because underneath that anger is a lot of beauty that needs to be set free. But that anger is a good emotion. It's a healthy emotion. But sometimes what we're doing with anger is that we're hurting people. And so that shame script that you've been holding on to, right, with that radical acceptance, when that radical acceptance comes in, we don't have to hold on to that shame script anymore. It doesn't have to be our story. It doesn't have to be our truth. When you have this manipulated version of love, you also develop core fears. And so one of my core fears was, I'm wrong and I'm going to always get it wrong. That was my shame script. Okay. So I've got to let that go. Now when I say let go, it's not just, oh, it's gone. It's a process. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's a process. It's whenever that comes up in my head, and I realized it maybe the next day, the next week, I'm going, oh, that doesn't belong to me. Because thoughts are just thoughts. You have the chance and the opportunity every single time to go, okay, that doesn't belong to me. I'm going to believe this instead, and you replace it with, no, I am right. Or I do belong, right? Just going to see if there's any comments here. Okay, we're good. So, when you start to heal your inner child, your reality will change. I was going to say completely change, but everyone is different. Your story is your own. And all of us see the world through our own lens of healing. So you see the world completely different than I do. And I see a lot of people getting into arguments because of differing opinions, and it's like, it's pointless, honestly. If you can have a healthy conversation and share opposing opinions and still respect each other, that's a different story. That's amazing, because that's healthy. But it's like we have this expectation that's escalated recently where, okay, someone has a different opinion than me, I need to prove them wrong. I need to, you know, be disrespectful. But the thing is that you see a completely different world than I do. And when we start to heal, or we start to tap into that inner child and allow our inner child to be free, our reality is going to change. We're going to see ourselves different. We're going to see our friends different. We're going to have different reactions with family members and interactions with strangers. And what I love to say, the illustration I love to give is it was like I was living life through a shattered glass of black and white. And now it's like I have broken free. That window is no longer in front of me, and I see color. And I hear music, and I see beauty. And it's completely shifted. But it's going to happen in those layers, like Christina noted. So, guess what you get to do? You get to release the expectation and the pressure of yourself to be right or to not get it wrong, because you're not against anyone else and you're not against yourself. This is your journey. And sometimes it's going to feel like it's one step forward, 2 steps back, and that's part of it as well. That's part of it as well. And values, it's going to shift. And I want you to step into that. I want you to step into that beauty that you so deserve. And what some coaches don't tell their clients, which I want to tell you guys, is that it's not just going to be roses in a park when you start this journey. It's usually painful first, but you have to walk through it. You can't walk around it or ignore it. And I would rather be on this journey now where things still come up for me. I'm constantly learning too. I'd rather be here than where I was wondering, is there more to life than this? What is my purpose? I'm miserable, right? So build your foundation. Allow your world to shift as it needs to. If there's one thing that you can accept about yourself as you step into radical self-acceptance, what is that? I want you to think of something, state it out loud even before you rise up from your chair tonight, okay? Something that I did was, because the mirror was a big thing for me, and I did a lot of mirror work where I literally wrote, "You are safe to be you," on my mirror. And I had it there for like almost a year, because I wanted to be safe even within myself when there was no one else around me. And guess what? What I love now is that I can be putting the laundry away. I can be home and I start laughing with myself. That's my inner child coming into play, right? I could have made a mistake. I could have done something, and instead of judging and putting myself down, I laugh. Because you reach this beautiful stage where it's just, it doesn't matter. Those little things don't matter. You're completely taken care of. You don't have to give your needs away. You don't have to please in order to be loved. You are enough just in this moment. And then once you start to have those moments where you're just laughing with yourself, I want you to see even the progress you've done in the last few weeks, in the last few months, and honor that. Not going, oh my goodness, I still have so much more where to go. Because in this moment, you're completely taken care of, you're completely loved, you're completely whole. So, there's a lot of aspects to this, and we got into some deep topics, and so, just think about what is one takeaway from tonight that you can apply into your life. Because if you're feeling overwhelmed, I want you to know you're right on time. And if you're still feeling anxious, if you're still seeking that peace and that happiness, radical acceptance, right? It's a decision. It's a decision. It's not a thought. Just take a deep breath. One thing that we can actually do is if you put your hands on your stomach, just breathe in, I am, and breathe out, here. So, that concludes the workshop for tonight, guys. I'm really glad you guys have come out. Yeah, I had to learn what healthy love was, and you know what, Erin? We're gonna keep learning that. What's really fun about this kind of work is that what love looks like for you today might look different 5 years from now, 5 months from now, but that's the beautiful part, where you have a new arrival. There is constant growth and journey and ebbs and flows. So what I wanted to say, guys, is thank you for joining. It takes a lot of guts to do this work. It's bravery, it's stepping out. And so what I want to just talk about for a few minutes is the program that I'm going to be releasing probably in May. And so if you are a part of this, you're a part of this workshop, if we've connected, and this kind of work really interests you, I have a program coming out to go through step-by-steps of all of, just basically a guide on the inner child healing, so that you can become more accepting of yourself, have that inner peace. What I remember is just going to bed with peace, and it felt like it was peace the first time in my life. And I went, oh my goodness, this is what peace feels like. And that changed everything too. It's not having something. It's not having the latest car. It's not having, the house. All of that is great. It's not like you can't have those things, but if you don't have inner peace, you'll still be chasing after love. You'll still be chasing after something. And that inner peace was everything to me. And what I see as the common denominator with people is that they're seeking that inner peace. They're seeking that confidence or that happiness. And so allow yourself to tap into even what that is. So with this program, it's going to be either 6 or 8 weeks long of content, but then you get to go at your own pace, and it'll be lifetime access with me as your coach, guiding you. There will be coaching every week, as well as a community of people who are going through the same thing. Now, they might be on different stages in their journey, but it'll be a like-minded community where one of the hardest things I found was being misunderstood by my family, by friends. Even though they did love me and they supported me, having that community is so important, so that, we can encourage each other and hold each other accountable. So if any of that interests you, there will be an early bird purchase where I would love for you guys to get into it. It's going to be radical transformation and just a really safe space for you to explore this, to heal, and to build that strong foundation, so that you can go on continuing helping other people, because I know many people watching this, you are already helping others, or you have a desire to help others, and that's what it's all about. We're all here connected, where I learn a lot from you guys as well. So I'm just going to see if there's anything else. So I want us to say, you're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to take up space. And so my program is called the Soul Talk Method, because a lot of us have been living in self-talk, a very surface level, right? And when we start to tap into our inner child and talk to our inner child and free our inner child, and when we allow ourselves to really get into the deep part of inner work, Soul Talk Method. And so it's healing, it's peaceful, it's building that foundation. I believe you're worth knowing, being seen, and being who you are. And what if you are robbing yourself of seeing who you truly are? Yet, you are here. And so if you're asking, is there more to life than just this? I'm here to say, yes, there is. Yes, it is. And what if you were to dive into that more? So, reach out to me. I would love to even just know how you connected with this workshop. It's really good feedback for me, but I also love to build relationships with this community where, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have any questions. Because this is very delicate work, or if there was anything that was confusing for you, I would love to clarify things with you. And so I want you to, again, get up from your seats and decide to accept something about yourself? What will it be? Okay, guys, so that's a wrap. Heather, yes, we can talk. Oh, Christina, I'm sending you so much love. I'm sending all of you guys love. This has been so life-giving. Does anyone have any questions before I go? I'll leave, we'll give it another 5 minutes or so if anyone wants some questions. Dora Lisa, I hope that answered your question from the start of this. Definitely reach out if there's anything more you want to add. I'm just going through and making sure I did not miss anything. What I'm going to be doing is sending this to you guys over email. If you guys have any friends that want to join in on this workshop, definitely pass this along. Okay, doesn't look like there's any questions, but if there's anything you want to message me privately about, go for it. I'm sending you all so much love. You are exactly where you need to be, but keep pressing forward. You're truly accepted and loved, and keep embracing this journey. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.